Hey, welcome back, welcome back. I'm covered up because I have on a tank top, but it's hot in these streets. Y'all understand? It's hot in these streets. Anyway, today's video is going to be about homeschool testing. And so on one side, we have Homeschool Boss. It lines up with more so what kids take in school. And then we have the CLT 6, CLT 9, and 10. They took all three of those. So I am going to give you some information on each to see if this is something you want to do in your homeschool. And so with this testing, and how I feel about testing in general is if you have kids that are college bound. And I apologize for all the noise because it's like 7 o'clock in the evening and I'm just trying to get these videos done while I have the time to do it. And so testing, as far as homeschooling is concerned, and I know there are people that are anti-testing, I am always thinking like we never know what can happen, and just as people, tomorrow's not promised to us. So I feel like for me, testing represents me just making sure my child is where I want him to be. And it's definitely not to compare. It's not to be like, oh, my child knows more than you. It's just for me to know, like, especially when it comes to reading and math. The other subjects, yeah, you can test them, but they're not, it is what it is. And so I do it because every 2 years I want to make sure you're making progress. So my 7th grader, I won't test him again until the end of 8th grade, and kind of preparatory for high school and making sure that, what's going on, making sure that you're ready for the things that are coming in high school. And so, sorry, they are just so loud and I can't focus. And so, yeah, I'm going to show you some samples of what the results look like, but I'm just going to talk about each one first. So, Homeschool Boss, it's NWEA mapping. That's how they compare it to school. For them, they offer a language arts, math, science, and let me just repeat that again. They offer language, reading, math. Reading and math is the basis. So if you want to add on language or add on science, they do it per grade. So whatever grade you're in, up to 8th grade, they just do it by grades. And then when you get in high school, it's like you'd be testing for biology. They would test you on biology. So also, I feel like these are good if you're a parent who's like, we not testing all year, we just gonna learn it and blah blah blah. Because honestly, you could just attach it to your transcript and be like, these were his test scores and that's how he got credit. And so I think that there is some value in having access to a Spanish test. Now, they only do the base, like I said, is reading and math. So adding on language, which is like grammar, mechanics, and stuff like that, is an extra $10, and the science test is an extra $20. And yeah, so it varies. So for me, when I test them using Homeschool Boss, it costs like $180 for all three of them. So not bad. And sometimes if I was to add on the science, it would be like $220. Everybody wants to bother me right now. This video, y'all, might have some bloopers at the end. Anyway, so that's Homeschool Boss. When with any of these tests, both the CLT and the Homeschool Boss, you have to monitor your kids. The CLT is a little bit more strict about monitoring, and I will get to that in a second. And so each of these tests does take about 2 hours plus. The CLT could be longer than that if you choose to do an essay. Homeschool Boss is K through 12. Overall, when you get the results from the Homeschool Boss, they are massive. And I will say that. They do offer different tests now just on reading, like the early years of reading, and they do offer for $35 or actually talking you through the results of your test. So they do have a lot of things to offer. The other good thing that I really like about Homeschool Boss is that even though the last time we tested was in 2021 or 23, it kind of gives you a growth of where they went from here to there. And that's something, a plus that I really, really like about Homeschool Boss. Let me just pull out the sheet so I could just show you what I'm talking about instead of trying to explain it. Yeah, that's what we about to do. All right, so let me find it. So I'm just going to pull out one report from my youngest. I believe this is his. Yeah, so this is grade 6. And yeah, I'm showing his things to the world. Anyway, but basically it gives you a score. So he did language, reading, and math. And it gives you a score on each one. It gives you a percentile. And yeah, so his math was low. His reading and language was high. I know his teacher was awesome this year, so I wasn't surprised at that. It did say that he's above average in language and reading, but his math, so, and I already knew that. We have a lot of work to do in math next year. And so you get a report like that. But the next thing I'm going to show you is this. So they don't, basically, this is the thickness of what I printed out. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see. But so basically you get a map like this. And the first time he tested this, he was here. Second time he was here. So it shows that he went up. Okay. And they do this for each one. And then they give you this chart as far as where they are in the broken down categories. And I really like that this is so broken down. And so, you know, yeah. And so this was reading. It showed that his reading went up and then broken down. And then you go to the next one. It shows that math, he didn't necessarily go down, but he wasn't like he's not where he should be according to, yes, school. Okay. Or like where they feel you should be at. And of course, I don't let this make me feel like, oh my gosh, we didn't do it. He's, what's his name? Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. And so they give you a great layout of how to read the report that you're reading. And so basically on the left column, it tells you your child answered this 75% of the time. It was answered right. And then the right column is 50% of the time they answered this right. And it shows you the grade, what, you know, school thing it lines up with. And then they separate it by, you know, each side. So these for me just help me, especially the ones that say, oh, this is something from 6th grade or even 5th grade that he wasn't getting right. And then it's like, oh, okay, this is telling me that this is something that we did not cover when we were in 5th grade, you know, whatever. Lay it out like that. That light is really not working in this video today. But, so that is the way that this is laid out. I love this because as a homeschool mom, you can print this out and you can highlight it and say, okay, we got to make sure we hit this, 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 and this. For me, this is more so showing me that my child is progressing. What we're doing is successful, because sometimes you can have years where it's not successful. And I can tell you in this year, yeah, it was a little rough seeing some of the results, but you move ahead and you say, oh, we're going to do better, and that's what we're going to do. And so the other thing that's good about these things is that if your child happens to be like in the 8th grade, which is the only reason why I'm like, I might test them again next year, because when you want to register for like high school things, you do need some type of grading things, and this has helped because they have accepted this when I gave it to them, as far as for scores and stuff like that, to get into like sports or some type of club or somebody that wants to see a report card. So that has been a blessing in that aspect. Now, let me, and you guys will be seeing this video soon. This is my half of my planner. You guys are like, what in the world? But I'm going to be showing you how I plan to plan my homeschool year. I'm still working the things out, so that video will come out soon, probably in August. All right. So the CLT, for each child, it was no, for high school, for the upper grade class, it was $49. But with the HSLDA, if you're a member, you do get a discount. So it did come down. I think I only paid $39 for the older two. And for the younger one, for my youngest, I think I only paid like 20 something for his test, because it was originally $39 for the younger grades. And so, like I said, the length of the test is same amount of time, 2 hours, but longer if you want to write your essay. This test is to get a scholarship for $2,500 from partnering schools. I don't think there are any schools that my kids want to go to that are on there. Something else, that procrastination of looking at colleges, which we should not do. It will get done before the summer's over. This summer has been crazy, but yet fulfilling, because I had so many things that I just need to catch up on, and we need to catch up on as a family. It has been a blessing that they're happening, because I can't go into another school year with things so unprepared and so just waiting for me to get to it. So I'm loving that I'm getting to it this summer. So the parts of the test are called quantitative reasoning, verbal reasoning, and grammar and writing. So basically, reading, writing, grammar, understanding, basically, if that's what you want to call it. The grades for this are 3 and up. This test compares to the PSAT, SAT, ACT. They give you a chart online that you can see to compare it. And honestly, I was like, yeah, we need some work, because mine were more so like, I think one was 12 and one was like 11, or when you compared it to, and I was like, oh yeah, we need to do some work to get closer to where we want to be at. And so the report, you can print it. I did print the first report, which I went back and I couldn't find it. I know I put it in their portfolios from last year, but I don't know where I put the paper at. So I went back, and this is what I was able to print. So basically, this is it gives you his name and all these things. So basically, it's broken down: verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, composite together, and then percentile. And then they give you like your reading thing. And of course, in this one too, I knew his math was going to be low. One thing I will say, all of these, they have practice tests or sample questions that you should look at. So you really should take the time and look through those, because it will kind of prepare your child. I know for the CLT10, the practice questions were my kids felt like they were way harder than the actual test. Hence, my oldest one, he was so exhausted when he took the test. I know that affected it. And so I feel like I didn't really get any real results from that, which is why I ended up and did the Homeschool Boss test, which was like, oh, okay, much better, because I was like, whoa, what is going on? They break it all the way down to the number of correct in each category. And then there's a part of it where they give you a percentage. And so basically, you can go in. You'll always have access to it because you have the account, but you can go in and push on this, and it will give you a sample of the questions that, that he got right. And so, like, word relationships, he got 100%. Passages as a whole, my battery's dying. Passage as a whole, he got, I lost my spot, 44%. So that tells me, like, oh, okay, we need to kind of work on that. Like, we haven't really did a lot of geometry, and he still needs to memorize measurements. So when I saw that, it was kind of like, I already know that. So I let him take this test just to feel how they could be a little bit hard and just get the experience of knowing it. Will I let my little one take this again? No, he ain't taking it until probably 10th grade or 9th grade. Because for me, I was like, yeah, this is definitely a classical learning test. Like, they are no joke. And so even when I was looking at the articles they were reading, I was like, whoa. And the writing was small. I'm like, do we not know in this day and age, like, it's digital, people don't want to sit there straining their eyes, especially people that already have glasses. It becomes like your eyes are like trying to see the words and trying to understand. So I'm not sure. But yeah, that was my CLT experience. I wish that I would have did more SAT practice up to now. The last thing I would say is I feel like the Homeschool Boss is more so compared to, they both do what they do. So the Homeschool Boss is more comparing to kids in school, and the CLT is more comparing to the SAT. And they feel that way. Even though it took them time to do the test. I know the Homeschool Boss had each test is about 40 to 45 questions, but Homeschool Boss makes it so where if this material seems too easy for you, they will up how hard the question is. So hence that's why it might take a little bit longer, because the question might get harder, so therefore it's taking your child to work through the question. The monitoring of that was definitely much more easier. CLT10, Jenny from Homeschool with Jenny, she was saying that her son had to actually show his room and he had to be on a video camera. It's probably because he was going for a scholarship. We didn't take it to go the scholarship route or to share the results, so we didn't have to do the whole camera, but I did have to monitor them. I did have to time them for the CLT, so when the time was up, I had to push stop and push the submit button if they weren't done. But I was allowed to give them a 5-minute warning and then explain to them they couldn't have any phone, they couldn't have any food for the CLT. They got 1 10-minute break, and so yeah. And the 2 hours kind of felt a little bit longer than 2 hours because they gave you 45 minutes per section of the test. So I guess for people that got through it faster, it wasn't, yeah. And so it felt way longer than 2 hours when we did the CLT, and they didn't test at the same time. So I literally was sitting in the room monitoring them all day. And so, but for Homeschool Boss, they all had their own laptops. They actually send you a code on your phone for your login for the day for all your kids. And you go on there and you confirm it. You can leave it there. When you're ready to pull up to the chair, you can push the arrow and it will stay that way. If it happens to pause, they are on site online to be able to help you. You actually have a testing, what you want to say, like monitor person who's there to help you if anything goes wrong. CLT2, they have somebody in the chat during test days, so if you have a problem, you can reach out. So all in all, they were kind of like the same. For younger kids, I would definitely do the Homeschool Boss if you feel like you're trying to see like, your child is struggling in a certain subject and you just want to know what do we need to work on. I feel like this is a good idea. The CLT10, like I said, it's more so if you want to take it, and I took it because I let them take it because I just wanted them to have like an experience of kind of like what the SAT felt like. We will see, because they will be taking it in the fall. And so, yeah, that's what that looks like. I wish that my 9th grader can sit for the PSAT in the 10th grade, because I feel like he would do so well. I'm still working on that. But my current 9th grader, he wants to go to college, and my culinary wants to go to college too. But we're seeing, because culinary colleges, some of them are very heavy academic based and some of them are not. So, we'll see. And that's where we're going. Yep, that's it. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments. And if you have not seen any of my other videos, tap right there. Enjoy. And I will check you out in my next video.